curved line, barely visible on paper, barely on paper, paper, papier, le papier, barely, a word I said, barely, hands, in question, a curved line, barely visible on paper. She said, barely, she said, on paper, paper, papier, le papier, barely, a word I said, barely, hands, in question. She said, a word I said, hands in question. Elle disait. A word I said, the hands in question. I said. A hand. A line. Can you see that hand? Can I see that hand? Can you see that hand? What if, she said, and not long after, whether or not, a hand, for whom to read and understand, lifelines, read my hand, the imminent long gone, a double somersault, to now, for whom to read and understand, lifelines, read my hand, a hand, the imminent long gone, a double somersault to now. Move your lips, move your lips, your lips, upper lip, lower lip. Move your lips, purse your lips, your lips, upper lip, your lip. Pause, overlayer. Overlayer, 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 up, 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 hum, 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 ha, 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 ha. Clap, 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 clap. Index. Points, draws, draw out, indexicality of yellow, jaune, the missing soleil au ciel, she wondered where it's gone, le ciel, le soleil, jaune, le ciel, round, luminous enlightenment, le ciel, le soleil, clap, hands, les mains, clap, rhythm, les mains, leave your mark, les mains, do it now, les mains, don't hesitate, laugh. Elle disait, les mains, I said, a hand, a line. My hands will soon be superfluous except for love. Ma, love of making or make love. Press, caress, touch, scratch, press, caress, touch, scratch, press, caress, touch, scratch. scratch, press, caress, touch, 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 scratch. Point, return to voice, to hands, formulate, pronounce, envelope, sound, tongue, material, back to material, material, language, material, immaterial, material, handle, material, material, hand. Vocal cords, cords to tie up bundles of emotions, to tie together strands of narrative, to tie up loose ends, not a circle but linear, mouth to mouth, not a kiss but a whisper, hush, 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 hush now, hush now, I'm, tap, clap, tap, rhythm of, and if then either whether, by and I see, clap, clap, and I try to see if, or what, whether she said what, whether she said what, in a block, on a row, in the dirt, in the dark, or whether if, 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 or whether if. Construct, sense, 1, 2, 3, objects, push, pull, speak, sing, tell, beads on a string, clippity-clop, spoken word, clip-clop, and then and he said she would, it couldn't, but maybe there, or if he stuttered, or whether we're not to, but irritated, irresistible, yes, yes, up, hesitate, tempo, tempo, click, flick, tongue, uppercase, long, click, click, click. In succession, pointers, hadn't, didn't, wouldn't, not, didn't, not, hadn't, not, didn't, not, wouldn't, not, didn't, wouldn't, couldn't, not, so far making sense, adding, built up, walls or sentences, she said, or he, and then she, or and, or he, or if she, but then never to, harming, but then never to, but then never to, but then never to, but then never to, incessant, harming, but then never to, incessant, but never to, incessant, never to, incessant, but then never to, incessant, harming, trace, shine on, pass, on line of pass, line of thought, word by word, harming, line of thought, hand in clay, word by word, hand in clay, hand in waving, hand in waving, word by word, hand in clay, harming, waving, harming, waving, waving, humming, 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 waving, just now.
In the succession of central public libraries that called to express Birmingham's intellectual, literary, scientific and cultural life, each is as grand as the next. To create the first, a penny tax is levied on the citizens of Birmingham, and the Free Public Library Committee works tirelessly to bring the library into fruition. A classical facade matches the adjacent British Midland Institute on Paradise Row. A more budget-conscious, but nonetheless ornate interior features a triple-height ceiling and Corinthian colonnade, decorated capitals and fluted shafts, bookshelves floor-to-ceiling, tall ladders leaning on the stacks, oak floors, oak desks, oak chairs. We are a corporation who have undertaken the highest duty that is possible to us. We have made provision for our people. There is probably no word of the human vocabulary which brings a greater crowd of thoughts to the educated man's mind than that blessed word, library. For a library is one of the greatest causes, as it is also one of the greatest results of man's civilization. A museum and art gallery are planned to provide improving entertainment and enlightenment. The British Midland Institute, next door, houses the private members' Birmingham Library, quietly superseded by this monument to egalitarianism. Birmingham's student population grows, and Birmingham's flourishing industrial economy, thousands of small workshops practicing specialised and highly skilled trades, foment social mobility and political radicalism, placing the Free Library at the heart of intellectual life. The library is popular, and in a few short years outgrows itself. The need for an extension is established. As an interim measure, whilst funds are raised and options explored, the end walls of the lending library, reference library and newsroom are knocked down and replaced with wooden partitions so that the rooms might be lengthened. During building work, disaster strikes. A 5-week-long hard frost freezes the gas pipes supplying the chandeliers. A workman trying to thaw the pipes makes a hole, fits a transformer and lights it, producing a flame about 2 inches high. A wood shaving catches the wind and dances across the flame. It catches fire, sparking more shavings around the partition. The fire spreads. Many help to extinguish it, trying to reach buckets which are hung too high. 15 minutes after the fire is discovered, when the hose brought up the stairs finally begins to play, the whole room is a mass of flames and nobody can remain in it. The mayor himself helps to save the Shakespeare collection, but the central hall is burnt to a cinder, along with 80% of the books. Rescued books are taken to the town hall. Some are placed in the porch of Mason College, some in a shop on Edmund Street. Where the roof once was, a hole gapes open to the sky above. The town reels from the calamity that had befallen it. Citizens are called upon to persistently, patiently, and zealously endeavour to once again raise a noble library for a great and intelligent town set upon the interments of knowledge, upon the records and experiences of the past, upon the teachings and wisdom of science, and upon the chronicles of all that has been done or said or thought. Insurance covers the building and a proportion of the book stock, but a great sum must be raised by kind donation. The shell of the original library and the pillars which had supported the roof survive. The new library is built from the ashes of the old one, adapted and improved to meet modern standards, and designed in a Lombardic Renaissance style. A tall cloistered reading room, domed plaster ceiling, arches, a cathedral to learning. Parquet floor polished smooth, dark wooden chairs and tables designed for practical use rather than comfort. Wooden ladders, folios on tables, conspicuous fire buckets and signs. No conversation, and visitors are reminded not to spit. Cast iron pillars, 1/2 metre thick, with embellished decorated ceiling spans. Cast iron chandeliers with white glass cone-shaped lampshades. Canvas-backed maps mounted on wooden hangers. Arched wooden newspaper stands. By now, Birmingham is a city, and the city of 1,000 trades all come through the doors, the richest and the poorest, the professional classes and the artisans, every age, from cradle to grave. Birmingham's democratic government see their role as one to encourage the city's growth, and the library grows at a pace expected of its users. As increasing book stock encroaches on space, a new basement store is built to provide extra storage for the reference library. The library holds 25 times the number of books it was designed for. Island bookcases are added to the lending library, then steel grids to bridge the island bookcases, then additional bookcases on top. Books in the basement are shelved 3 deep. The female library staff are forbidden from wearing skirts to prevent impropriety whilst climbing the ladders. The council approves in principle the building of a new library, but for a few years, war diverts resources. Post-war, Birmingham's political map changes. From Westminster's position, Birmingham is too large, too prosperous, and has to be held in check. The council is obliged to restrain industry, population growth, and employment potential within the city. Birmingham is a city of reinvention, and it will not be hindered. A new site for a library is selected by the city librarian, and a box-like building designed by the city architect. Lacking verve and vision, it is rejected. The city wants to present itself in a manner worthy of its citizens, and the new library must reflect this. A new Brutalist central library design forms part of a master plan for a new civic centre, exhibition areas, lecture hall, children's and music departments. Nearby, a drama centre, athletics institute, town hall, museum and conservatoire. An unusual opportunity arises from the majority public ownership of land in the area. Demolition of the old library rather than extension is chosen to embrace the new outlook and accommodate the new road system. The Victorian past, now out of favour, can be swept away to make space for a new 20th century city. And the designer, acting as both city architect and lead consultant, is assertive about the progress that will be made. The city planners are in agreement. The British Midland Institute, Mason College and the Liberal Club must go. The new library is built in the shadow of the old one, and books are moved across on trolleys before the old one is pulled down. A shirtless man adjusts his braces before wheeling wooden crates up a temporary scaffold bridge from one library to the other. A campaign tries and fails to save the Victorian buildings, sparking a new appreciation and interest in the era elsewhere. By the time of the 3-day week, the move is underway. The library is permitted to stay open as a place of entertainment, but only with half the light bulbs to preserve electricity. The Prime Minister attends the formal opening of the building. Beton Brute concrete, Hopton wood limestone, Derbyshire spar and white cement. In the central atrium, rough aggregate terraces. Inside, red carpets, escalators. Concrete floor panels left exposed as coffered ceilings, ribbed concrete features, wooden handrails, glazed walls, black anodized window frames. The compromises are many. The new library straddles the ring road and an uncompleted bus station, meaning a fixed 11-metre pier spacing from basement to rooftop. The cost of the proposed Portland stone cladding nearly derails the project. Precast concrete is conceded as a compromise. The nearby cultural assets are postponed and reduced, and land sold for private development. Most of the planned landscaping and fountains are never realised, denying the building its celebratory air. An inverted ziggurat on tall piers houses the reference library, with the lending library in a curved 3-storey wing. The upper stories are stepped out, shielding the windows so that direct light cannot damage the books. The building is fated for its strength and transparency. Broad steps down to Chamberlain Square create a new civic space in front of the library. It's a place for enjoying the sunshine. Birmingham thrives with persistence, and the Central Library, whilst clean and new, is a symbol of the modern motor city. Meanwhile, all eyes turn to economic regeneration, and anything that creates jobs and prosperity is to be grasped and encouraged. A central government edict forbids local authorities from considering the aesthetics of a building as a planning issue. Birmingham's ability to think big is neutered. The atrium is enclosed with a glass roof and the central court filled with fast food shops. The basement, never a bus station, becomes a service bay for the shops and a refuge for the homeless. In a downward spiral of confidence, the library becomes the focus of changing tastes. The ring road is perceived as a concrete collar, strangling the city. The library suffers the same fate as its predecessors and outgrows its capacity. The concrete suffers from age. A piece falls, nearly killing a passerby. Nets are installed, reducing light inside, and the building is impaired. The council announces plans to demolish it. Birmingham's ambition is rekindled by new regeneration plans. A new library is designed for Eastside, hoping to draw the city centre eastwards. The design is a sweeping organic form promising to change the heart and mind of this great city, have one of the most powerful influences on city regeneration in living memory, become a symbol of Birmingham's international reputation, and reflect and promote the unique cultural diversity of Birmingham. This alternative is never realised. The political wind changes. Plans are ripped up and reconceived. A new site is sought and secured in Centenary Square. After an international competition, a decorative and optimistic contribution is chosen to join the paved plaza, a Greek temple, a recently scrubbed concrete theatre, a shopping complex, and the soon-to-be demolished inverted ziggurat. Campaign groups seek to preserve the old library and fight for the building to be listed, but the building is under a historical shadow. Archaeological work begins between Baskerville House and the Rep Theatre before planning permission is approved. Signed off just months before the financial crash, the cost of the library is frequently called into question. Working against a monthly report to test the cost of cancelling the project, the architects, employed on a design and build contract, are careful to deliver what they promised. Yellow vinyl floors, red vinyl seating, black ribbed ceilings. Dark bookcases, neon lights, concrete pillars. Engineered wood floors, relaxed seating, galvanised steel and oak shelves. A climatically controlled environment. A central rotunda with escalators. Metal ring cladding, aluminium circles fixed to an envelope of double-glazed curtain walling over an in-situ post-tension concrete structure. Polished bronze panels, glass partitions, transparent elevations to let the public see the facilities. A roof garden with a view of the city. The building is celebrated for its design innovation. The manifestation of an ambition to put learning at the centre of the city. A glittering symbol of civic confidence. The library uses an aquifer ground source system to reduce energy consumption. Cold groundwater is pumped up from within the earth and used in the air conditioning before flowing back into a drilled well. A well-known human rights activist opens what is now the largest public cultural building in Europe. Let us not forget that even one book, one pen, one teacher can change the world. The fight to preserve the old library, the public building, continues, but plans are completed for a new commercial development of glass and steel, claiming to offer better environments and connections. They remove its innards first, stripping out interior fixtures and fittings. 5 days before the final appeal, a wrecker begins clawing at one corner, smashing the floors and pulling out twisted metal. The new library is busy. 2.4 million visits in a year. But, suffering funding shortfalls, the council announces condensed opening hours. Many staff are laid off and services reduced. Queues form each morning before the library opens. Partners are sought to deliver services and events. A student waits impatiently for a study space with a socket to plug in her laptop. An independent government review identifies the library as a factor in the city's spiralling debt problems. A vanity project delivered to much acclaim by an outgoing politician? A benign subject in the politician's vision